I think I talked too much. In the last video, I kind of got a sore throat. Well, it wasn't a real sore throat, but it was probably a few steps away from being one. Hello everyone, my name is Andini. Welcome to this channel. So if this is your first time here, I mostly do vlogs, though lately I've also been doing these more podcast style videos. So I thought I would talk today about my life and how I got up to this point. Since some of you were requesting it, and it would be a bit of an interesting thing to look back on my life so far. So ever since I was a kid, I really loved tinkering with things. And since my dad was a scientist and he worked in a lab, when he got home, sometimes he brought spare parts, so I was able to play with them. Those were kind of my toys, you could say. And I would try to make new things instead of just playing like a normal person. Eventually, when I was in grade school, I think it was grade 6, I started joining science fairs and I just kept coming back. I made lots of things, like a radio powered from excess candle heat in grade 7, and later on I made a flashlight that used piezoelectricity. But when I was 15, I decided to try entering the 2013 Google Science Fair with the hollow flashlight. So a bit of background, my mom is from the Philippines, so I visited there a couple times, especially in Mindanao. I made lots of friends there, but I noticed that they didn't really have the electricity that they needed to study at night. And I remember even one of my friends failed a grade because she couldn't study properly. So I invented a thermoelectric flashlight. I don't have it with me right now, so maybe I'll add a photo here. The flashlight used the thermoelectric effect, so it didn't need batteries to operate. I used these things called Peltier tiles, and they generate electricity when one side is hot and the other side is cold. So I stuck 4 of these on an aluminum tube and then put it inside a PVC pipe, which lets the air inside circulate with the convection currents. That way, when you hold the flashlight, the heat from your hand goes into the tiles, but the air around it will cool it down. So it makes electricity and powers the flashlight. And that year, I ended up winning the Google Science Fair, which ended up being a huge and life-changing moment for me. The year after that, I won 4 awards in the Intel Science and Engineering Fair. I got to be on Jimmy Fallon's show and showcase my flashlight, and even got invited to actual businesses and conferences to talk. Companies were offering me grants, and I even got some scholarships to study engineering and STEM in different schools. But it was also a super overwhelming time for me. Everyone wanted to talk with me, but I had no media training. I also felt this pressure from my parents, and you know how it is. One of them is Asian, the other is a scientist, so there's always been really high standards for me. But there was a time when all they ever talked about was how I would go and study engineering. So I sort of did the opposite of what people were expecting of me. I ended up pursuing one of my other biggest passions in life, which was film. I took up English literature here in Canada because a while back I spoke to this director and he was like, "Oh, go to Oxford and Cambridge and study English and get involved in the extracurriculars, theater and film and media." Sorry about the accent, but that doesn't mean that I stopped inventing things. So a few years after the flashlight, I invented the e-drink mug, which basically uses excess heat from coffee or other hot drinks that you put in there and turn it into electricity. You can charge your phone or turn on a lamp or do all sorts of things with that. And in 2017, I made it into the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, which I'm still super grateful for. Nowadays, I mostly do public speaking, brand work, this YouTube channel, and hosting. For a time, I was also an ambassador for Uniqlo, and I've also worked with a couple of other brands. I still get invited to speak to businesses and conferences, and I even represented Canada in the i7 in Italy, which was an innovation committee that gave feedback and input on the G7 conference. Sometimes I give virtual talks too, like an online panel which I did for Kids, Habilin, one of the TV shows here for kids in the Philippines. And I've also founded my own company, Makotronics Enterprises. Just last year, I've been trying to direct more on music videos and other projects. I know I was known for a long time as this science kid, inventor girl, but honestly, I don't really like the branding standards right now for branding yourself. There's this thing nowadays where it's like, oh, my thing is that I'm a chemist, or I'm just an inventor and nothing else. I still love inventing, and it's one of my favorite hobbies, but it's kind of detrimental to put people into just one box, you know? So, anyway, all I'm saying is follow your dreams and follow your passions. And if you want to try something, just go at it with full force. Because you never know, and the only way to find out is to build it. So, let me know if you have anything else, any topics that you want me to cover. And as always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ann Makosinski, ANNMAKOSINSKI. See you!